distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank the organizers for this invitation for me to speak on unlocking African digital potential to leverage innovation solutions for financial inclusion. I want to appreciate the directors of Tradepass for this invitation. My task this morning is a very interesting topic for these exciting times in the digital space. Digital technologies such as artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, among others, are transforming economies and societies across the world, creating opportunities for economic growth and increased job creation. Globally, the transition to a digital economy is changing how people interact by enhancing the effectiveness of development activities and offering new solutions across all sectors with extensive benefits. In Africa, the transition to a digital economy has been gaining momentum, as we all know. Many countries across the continent are using digital technologies and developing highly innovative solutions. Africa has become the home of many digital entrepreneurs who are creating a new type of innovation ecosystem and ideas that are attracting private equity funds. The digital economy has therefore become an important lever for the growth and competitiveness of our countries in Africa. Now, let's look at financial inclusion. Financial inclusion means that appropriate financial services and products such as savings, payments, credit, remittances, insurance, etc., are readily available to adults of all income groups, whether high, middle, low, minimal income group. The cost should be affordable to the range of customers on one hand, but also sustainable for the provider on the other hand. These services should be provided in a responsible and reliable manner. Why do we need financial inclusion? Financial inclusion gives everybody in society access to basic financial services, regardless of their income or savings. It focuses on ensuring and providing financial solutions can be provided also to economically underprivileged people in society. When vulnerable people are included in financial services, no matter how small, they have the opportunity to better manage their lives, to smoothen their cash flows, to overcome income shocks to a certain degree, and they can invest in acquiring skills, health, or even new businesses, no matter how small these businesses may be. In summary, it gives people at the bottom of the pyramid the opportunity to alleviate poverty and inequality by facilitating the use of financial services such as loans, deposits, and access to credit. Now, how can we ensure financial inclusion? Digitalization is key to financial inclusion. In sub-Saharan Africa, financial inclusion has increased rapidly in recent years, due mainly to the development of digital financial services and innovative business models. Financial inclusion has become synonymous with digitalization because the cost of using the old system of direct physical contact and services is too expensive and reserved for those that are at the high end of the pyramid. This was why many people were excluded with traditional financial services. Now, what are the issues driving the potentials for Africa in the digital space? Firstly, 6 of the world's 12 fastest growing countries are in Africa. With a population of over 1 billion people, consumer spending in Africa is projected to rise from 680 billion in 2008 to about 2.2 trillion by 2030. The continent will have the fastest growing youth population in the world, also by the year 2030. The size of the African continental free trade areas, when fully harnessed, will be worth about 3.3 trillion. Africa is a huge market. It cannot be ignored, and we need to position ourselves appropriately in the digital space. Secondly, significantly, the African continent far outspaces every other region in the world when it comes to the uptake of mobile phones and internet connectivity, despite the fact that our continent may be seen as the poorer continent. Because Africa has been the fastest growing mobile market for the past 5 years, with more than 200 million mobile users, we have also recorded the highest internet growth, from just 2.1% in 2005. By 2018, we were at 24%, and currently at about 30%, and by 2025, an estimated 300 million people will be online in Africa. It is projected that by 2030, Africa will have 16% of the world's internet users. This will represent a growth of about 260% from where we were in 2017. Thirdly, the continent is building on this growth of mobile technology to launch a new wave of dynamic and more competitively digitally enabled citizens, both at the individual and business levels. The number of tech hubs, which are physical spaces designed to foster and support tech startups, has grown dramatically to 442, with the largest concentrations in South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya, Morocco, and Ghana. These centers provide space for entrepreneurs from all sectors to innovate and integrate digital solutions into traditional sectors. Fourthly, there is an unprecedented growth in the number of tech startup entrepreneurs in Africa. We have about 6,500 technology startups on the continent, and investors are taking note. These startups have received about $2.27 billion in venture capital investments. A key driver behind this digital revolution is Africa's youth. Our youth are ambitious, they are enterprising, they are restless, and they are impatient for change. These qualities are perfect to take on the information and computer technology challenge. Africa's young people are the most avid adopters of ICT and digital solutions. About 60% of Africa's population is below 25 years, and they are eager to go online. They are eager to learn, to innovate, and consume all things digital. We can anticipate a future that will be very different from today in terms of innovation, enterprise, and job and wealth creation for the young people of Africa. In June this year, which was last month, it was announced that an African fintech company, MFS Africa, acquired Oklahoma-based Global Technology Partners for $34 million. And this move, the Financial Times described it as a rare case of an African group doing a tech deal in the US. We usually hear about companies in developed countries buying others in Africa. The tide is turning around in the digital space for Africa. Some of the good examples of digital solutions that has fostered financial inclusion in Africa, I'm sure we all know about Safaricom's M-Pesa, which provides mobile money and mobile banking and payment platforms and financial inclusion solutions for 30 million Africans across 10 countries. We also have Airtel Money in East Africa. We have Orange Money in West Africa. In Ghana, we have Agro Center, which is helping smallholder farmers access markets and finance through mobile apps. We have Hello Tractor in Nigeria as an Uber-like service that enables farmers to hire tractor services at affordable rates. Even traditional banking has evolved with mobile and internet banking. I remember my early days as a young graduate working in my home country in Nigeria. It was a nightmare at the end of the month to get my salary out of the bank. We had to queue for hours to collect our money. Today, sometimes I don't see my bank for 6 months because there is internet banking, there is M-Pesa, there is mobile banking. I can do transactions across the world just from my mobile phone. This is what financial inclusion and digitalization is all about. Now, Africa's digital transformation is underway. It's generating transformational changes across all economic sectors and providing much needed social and economic levers. On agriculture, digital technologies such as mobile phone applications, sensors, e-wallets, satellites have emerged with notable impacts on agriculture and rural livelihoods. On governance, the internet, mobile communication, social networking have facilitated the transformation of public administration in some countries and triggered a shift in the relationship between citizens and governments. On education, digital technologies are offering unparalleled access to information and facilitating connections to educational resources, virtual labs, ideas, and people. On energy, we have solar and wind renewables, which are becoming the fastest growing source of primary energy consumption on the continent. Solar energy in particular is rapidly expanding as an attractive solution for providing off-grid power in rural areas, ensuring inclusion for most people right at the bottom of the pyramid. Mobile phone penetration has enabled financial inclusion solutions for the poorest and is reaching the unbanked populations. Countries across Africa are designing either new, instant, inclusive, and interoperable digital payment systems, or they are upgrading existing infrastructure. These facilities multiple digital payment channels such as money, mobile money, internet solutions, point-of-sale payments, etc., exist today in most of our countries. We have agency banking, which involves cash in, cash out, and is facilitating last-mile banking, and more countries are striving to achieve interoperability between banks and non-banks today. Today, you can transfer money from M-Pesa to your bank and vice versa. You can do anything, like buy airline tickets, pay for insurance, whatever, buy your pizza, everything using your mobile banking. But of course, there is the security aspect. So for cybersecurity, the use of artificial intelligence is helping also in fraud, prediction, and management, as well as data analytics. We have open banking with the adoption of digital IDs and e-money account platforms, which are allowing the opening of accounts virtually, including combination with biometric solutions. A lot of the banks today offer opportunities for people to open accounts without stepping into the bank. Now, evidence shows that digitizing payment boosts transaction efficiency, it reduces costs, it drives financial inclusion. New technologies are triggering innovation in finance, offering viable services to those at the bottom of the pyramid. Africa has the opportunity to harness these potentials to drive growth and spur development. In sub-Saharan Africa, financial inclusion has increased rapidly in recent years, due mainly to the development of digital financial services and innovative business models. This impressive growth over the last few years has been driven primarily by mobile money and agent banking. By and large, the growth in traditional financial institution accounts lag behind. Where they do increase, it often appears to be on the back of mobile money revolution. That is where we see a lot of growth in traditional banking. The message is clear. The future of the financial sector on the continent is digital. And going forward, I think that training and capacity building will be key. Digitalization needs varied skill sets. And also, we need to encourage and work with governments to ensure that they have a national strategy for financial inclusion. The tools for digitalization are available, and what we need are the strategies, policies, and political will to ensure financial inclusion. And this will entail diagnosing the state of financial inclusion in our countries, agree on time-bound targets, identifying the barriers and putting in place policies to manage these. Some of these barriers, people don't have, in some cases, people don't have easy access to identification documents to enable them to be part of the financial world. We also have cases, especially for those at the bottom of the pyramid, financial illiteracy is a challenge. And we need to find a way to give basic training to people. We also have issues of consumer protection that governments need to look at. Gender equality still remains to be addressed because on a general basis, especially in the rural areas, you find that the women are lagging behind in terms of using digital space. And this will affect their access for financial inclusion. But that is another topic for another day. Policies need to be crafted to address these issues. And of course, monitoring and measuring the policy impact will be key in determining and assessing where we are. Now, just quickly, this is not in my presentation, just to talk about what we do, some of the things we do at the African Development Bank. We have steadily increased our activities in Africa's digital economic sector. We work under various mandates to support digital infrastructure and solutions across the continent, and we seek to address the emerging needs of the African continent in its transition to a digital economy. We also recognize that the countries in Africa are at different stages of digitalization of the economy, and there are countries that have where the building blocks such as infrastructure, usage, ecosystems like data protection, right to information, regulation and competition frameworks, digital skills, some countries have these already available. But we also have others where these building blocks are missing. So, this is the main reason why at the bank we finance mainly two types of projects, and we're taking into consideration the readiness of the targeted countries to unlock the digital potential. For those that need the building blocks first, we provide financing, funding, loans, grants, and technical assistance for project preparation for integrated projects that include three pillars, normally infrastructure, usage, and then the ecosystem. And where you have the building blocks, we support projects that are more concentrated on usage and the ecosystem. But another crucial element we have highlighted is the importance of supporting the demand side in parallel manner with the supply side. What we see mostly in Africa is that the focus is more on the demand side and not on the supply side as such. And one of the major players of the demand side is the administration that has to be helped to take advantage of digitalization. For example, governments. During COVID, 19 governments needed digitalization to build some resilience against the impact of COVID-19, for instance. We also work to facilitate interactions with end users and also to improve the efficiency of public services. So we work with governments a lot on e-government projects and also support governments to improve financial inclusion as we help them to implement the digital payment system that will allow money transfers, for example, for salaries, for pensions, for safety nets, particularly during the COVID era. Also, the government, everywhere was shut down, but the governments needed digital payment systems to make sure that the social safety nets can get to the population that needed it. We also, at the bank, we consider mobile money and the digital financial services as key pillars of financial inclusion. And as such, this forms part of our bank's strategic priorities. The cross-cutting agenda of the bank include, among others, supporting national strategies to scale up digital financial service markets, influencing policymakers through increased dialogue, spearheading data collection on market opportunities in digital financial services, and investing in incubators of funds which focus on mobile solutions. We also are providing liquidity to mobile banking and mobile service providers, and we are partnering with local providers for financial skills development. We are partnering with universities on ICT incubation centers, and we participate in programs that provide that promote digital literacy for poor households. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Some love. Yes. Yeah. Very powerful. Thank you so much for being. Asante sana.